My heart asks you to stay. It whispers in the quiet moments between us when the world feels like it has paused and everything around us fades into the background. In these moments, the air seems heavier, and I can feel the pulse of my own longing silently in the depths of my chest. It's as though every beat carries this simple place, stay not out of fear, not because I cannot live without you, but because there is a truth within me that only grows stronger with time, that my heart, in its most vulnerable and honest form, asks you to stay. There is something profoundly delicate in the way my heart expresses this yearning. It does not demand, nor does it insist. It simply speaks with a softness that only the soul can truly understand. It asks for you to remain not just in the physical space we occupy together, but in the moments, in the fragments of time when everything else falls away. My heart speaks not in words that can be easily spoken aloud, but in the stillness of the gaze, in the quiet touch of your hand, in the warmth of your presence. My heart asks you to stay because it knows that without you, those moments would lose their meaning. In the world that rushes by, where time slips through our fingers like grains of sand, it's easy to forget what truly matters. And yet, in every fleeting second, my heart finds its anchor in you. It asks you to stay through the noise and the chaos, through the confusion that sometimes clouds our minds. It asks for your stillness in my life, the comfort of knowing that, despite everything, we will remain constant. There is an unspoken promise in the way you and I fit together, a bond that neither the passage of time nor the shifting winds of fate can savor. It is a quiet understanding, a rhythm that flows between us like a song that has no end. My heart asks you to stay, for it has found in you a melody it never wants to stop hearing. Every touch, every glance carries with it a silent invitation to remain. In the briefest of moments, the simplest of gestures, my heart finds its peace. It asks you to stay in the ordinary moments, in the times when life is not grand or dramatic, but when we are simply two souls sharing the same space, breathing the same air. It is in these moments that I feel the weight of this request, the most desire not for anything extravagant, but for the everyday beauty that comes with knowing we are here, together, in this world. In the quiet mornings, when the sun is just beginning to rise and the world is still bathed in the soft glow of early light, my heart asks you to stay. It asks for your presence as we sip our coffee, lost in thought, yet connected in the unspoken bond we share. It asks you to stay when we have no words left to say, when silence between us is not uncomfortable but sacred. It asks you to stay in the small, intimate moments that hold the weight of something much larger, the foundation of a love that doesn't require explanation because it is understood in the spaces between our breaths. My heart asks you to stay not because I am afraid of being alone, but because there is something in the way we exist together that feels like home. There is comfort in your presence, a safety that makes the world feel less daunting. It is as though with you by my side I can face anything. And yet, it is not about seeking protection or shelter. It is about the simple truth that being with you feels natural. My heart asks you to stay because I want to continue building this life with you brick by brick, moment by moment. It is not always easy though. Life has a way of throwing challenges our way, testing us in ways we did not expect. The days when the clouds seem too thick, when the storm feels too close, my heart asks you to stay even more. It asks for your hand to hold through the hardest of times, when the future seems uncertain and everything feels fragile. It asks for the strength that comes from knowing we are not alone, that we will stand together through whatever comes our way. And in those moments, when the weight of the world presses in, I can feel my heart's play more acutely. It asks you to stay, not just as a companion in the good times, but as a partner in the difficult ones. For it is in facing adversity together that we truly understand the depth of what it means to love. My heart asks you to stay, not out of desperation, but because it knows that we have built something beautiful. It asks you to stay because I believe in the life we are creating, in the love that we have nurtured. It asks you to stay through the mundane and the extraordinary, through the laughter and the tears, through the highs and the lows. There is a rhythm to our love, a flow that is steady and true, and my heart knows that this is something worth holding on to. I do not ask you to stay because I am incomplete without you, but because together we are something greater. My heart asks you to stay because I have discovered in you a partner, a confidant, someone with whom I can share my most authentic self. It asks you to stay because, in your presence, I have found a sense of belonging that transcends all understanding. It is not about possession, but about partnership. It is not about dependence, but about the strength we give each other. My heart asks you to stay because together we make the world a little less lonely. There are times when I fear the future, when uncertainty clouds my mind. But even in those moments of doubt, my heart's plea remains unwavering. It asks you to stay because I know that, no matter what comes, we will face it side by side. There is comfort in that thought, the thought that with you, I am never alone. My heart asks you to stay because the future is unknown, but what we have now is real. What we have now is a foundation that we can build upon, a love that we can nurture, a bond that can withstand the test of time. It is not about perfection. My heart knows that love is not always easy, that there will be times when we stumble, when we fall, when we struggle to find our way. But even in those moments, my heart asks you to stay. It asks for your patience, your understanding, your forgiveness. It asks for the grace to grow together, to learn from each other, to support one another through the challenges we will inevitably face. My heart asks you to stay because even in our imperfections, we are enough. Together, we are enough. And so, in the quiet moments, in the loud ones, in the stillness and the chaos, my heart asks you to stay. It asks for the promise of today, for the hope of tomorrow, and for the love that we share in this very moment. My heart asks you to stay because it believes in us. It believes in the connection we have, in the love we've cultivated, in the life we've begun to create. My heart asks you to stay because, without you, everything would feel incomplete. It is not about needing you, it is about choosing you every day, over and over again. My heart asks you to stay, not because I cannot live without you, but because living with you is everything I could ever want. And so this is my plea, soft, gentle, and full of my heart asks you to stay. It asks you to stay because in your presence I have found a peace that I never thought possible. It asks you to stay because together we make life richer, fuller, and more meaningful. My heart asks you to stay because you are my home, my heart, my soul's desire. And in this quiet, unspoken request, I find everything I need. For in you, I have found my forever.